Hello, Blue Demons. My name is Razeen Moffat, and I am running for Senator of the College of Science and Health. I'm currently a sophomore majoring in health sciences through the Pathways Honors Program on a pre-med track. I'm also a part of the University Honors Program and am serving as a mentor this year. I've also served on student councils for volunteer-based, medical, and business-related clubs in the past. I'm confident that I've acquired the skills that will allow me to be your senator. This is a unique year where students are transitioning back to an in-person learning style after spending over a year with online learning. This transition is not an easy one, as students are trying to develop study habits, meet new people, and adjust their daily routines to fit the demands that in-person schooling requires. As senator, one of my goals is to ease the transition for students from an at-home online environment to an in-person learning style. All the stress about fitting back into an in-person learning style adds to the stress of the rigorous classes that many students are taking. Student mental health is a primary concern of mine that I wish to improve as senator. Multiple studies have shown that social relationships and collaboration among students all show signs for positive mental health. As senator, I seek to create a platform where students can come together and discuss their struggles, seek help, and share how their quarter has been going. Since we are fortunate to be back in person, I hope to host events in which professional and grad students from the healthcare and science field will come to discuss their career paths and provide application resume guidance to students. I also want to offer a workshop where academic advisors and tutors can edit resumes, personal statements for applicants, and also provide insight for opportunities in internship and research and volunteering, which are all important for the medical and health fields. I hope to have events in person and online format to accommodate all students and their comfort level. While this role just starts with the College of Science and Health, I hope to spread my ideas to all of DePaul, as my vision is for the betterment of the school as a whole. I want to be a resource for those who are requiring help and be a new friend to anyone that wants one. The Student Council works side by side with the student body and administration to ensure student experiences throughout the year are successful. As Senator, I will ensure you have a memorable year. I ask for nothing but your vote, and I'll be deeply honored if you vote.
Great. Sorry about that. If there are any questions, now would be the time to ask. So use either the raise hand feature or chat me directly, and I will put you on the list. Olivia?
Yes. So, Razine, if I am pronouncing that correctly, you mentioned that you were really concerned about the mental health of students. So my question to you is, how exactly do you plan on taking steps towards helping students who are struggling with any type of, issue going on in their lives? Like, what would you do as the senator?
So as a general thing, I would definitely start by creating study groups and other entertainment or social activities where students can get to know each other, because by getting to talk to other people about yourself, studies show that that helps with mental health. And then additionally, if someone comes to me and I see that they need some mental health help, I will definitely reach out to counselors and see how I could help them out. But just as a general thing for the whole student body, I would like to have events where students can just become more comfortable with the school, especially the new freshmen and the incoming sophomores this year, like me, it's their first time on campus.
Thank you.
Gabriella or Gabriel?
Gabriel, thank
sorry,
you.
Your name was cut off.
Razine, quick question. If you're going to put for these steps, how would you reach out to all of these and those students who are held virtual and not comfortable to come into in-person events? For instance, DAP holds in-person events just like you.
Yeah, so for the students that are virtual, I would definitely, whatever events I hold, I would have a virtual side to it where it would be recorded, and the Zoom call would be open for those virtual students to be able to participate. As for spreading the message to them, I would definitely send it out to a lot of teachers through in the science department, who would be able to share to their classes, which those students would be attending. So the best way I would see to get that message out would be through classes and teachers.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no other questions, then we're going to move on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anna Delgado is next.
Yes, I'm here.
The floor is yours. The time will start when you start speaking.
Yes, thank you. All right, so hello everyone. It's my honor and pleasure to be here today as your senator candidate for the College of Science and Health. My name is Anna, my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a junior seeking to unite, advocate for, and instigate change in the CHS community. The pandemic has uncovered many issues that have long been present in our community, such as the minimal support that first-generation students get in STEM classes, as well as the higher faculty's lack of effort put into finding solutions to issues proposed by students. You may be wondering what it will look like if I were elected as a CHS senator. For one, you should expect open communication between myself and the community, increased advocacy for student needs, and a constant effort for an improved environment for all students who take classes in the CHS. To do so, my first initiative will be to establish a program to identify more areas of student needs. My second initiative will be to work with students, faculty, and other senators to find team-oriented solutions in response to the information we gathered from my first initiative. And lastly, and as well as most importantly, I would like to make sure that future senators continue from where I left off. So my last initiative will be to lay the foundations for future senators to be able to surpass the work I accomplished. Sorry, the they have a train track, so it's gonna sound a little bit loud. I'm confident I'll be successful with my initiatives because of my strong relationship with the faculty of the College of Science and Health, the communication and negotiation skills I've earned as a Spanish interpreter, and to the people who I've talked to since we came back on campus have expressed interest in being part of improving the CHS community. I would really appreciate your vote and thank you for your time this evening.
Any questions? Anthony?
Hello, can y'all hear me? Okay. So you mentioned that you wanted to bring up support for first generation college students. Could you give me like I guess more what does that look like? What is the actions you're gonna be taking to get that support?
So I'm a first generation student myself, so I definitely know what it feels like to have little support to no support in general. When I first came to DePaul, I had never taken chemistry before, and one of the hardest classes in the science department is the general chemistry. So something I would like to be able to help with first generation students who at one time I was in their place. I want to be able to create more supports or facilitate at least the communication between the instructors and the students. This is because it hasn't, at least in my experience, it hasn't always been easy to talk to instructors and say what I need or advocate for my needs. So I want to be able to be that bridge between the students, or like not even first generation, just in general, any student that is struggling, and the faculty who sometimes it might be a little bit intimidating or a little bit scary to talk to them. So in that way, just facilitating communication, or if the student has another idea on how I could help them achieve their goals to succeed in the class, I would like to be able to be there to help them realize that process. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Parveen?
Yep, I'm here. Oh.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Can everyone hear me all right? I just switched devices. Dorm Wi-Fi. Yeah. All right. So I know you had mentioned working with faculty and your negotiating background. I'm just wondering, as someone who's coming into DePaul relatively new, what exactly would you be negotiating with like these faculty on? What issues specifically would you be hoping to address working with faculty?
So one of the biggest issues that I've encountered in my time in DePaul is trying to figure out how we can best help students to get what they need in order to succeed in classes. For example, for some of the classes, there's some stuff that we asked if they could change, but it's been really difficult to change anything, mainly because we have a new curriculum in the sciences. So I feel like they're still trying to test out what works and what doesn't. But as students, we can tell them this works, this doesn't. Can you please change this? But it's been difficult to get that change. So I guess in terms of negotiation, every person in every department is different on how they handle their teaching style. So I guess it would be a matter of figuring out what each department needs, what each department is hoping to achieve through the students, and then what the students in each department actually want. So I guess it's that understanding of both parties and then being able to connect them together, which is, as an interpreter, something I do, connecting different parties and being able to negotiate things that need to be done. I hope that answered your question.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Next up is Jacob Foster.
Thank you. Can I just start whenever?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Foster. My pronouns are he, him, his. And I'm honored to run as your senator for the College of Science and Health. I am a sophomore studying neuroscience with a minor in biology and Spanish. In this position, I would like to help make DePaul a safer, greener, and more equitable university. To accomplish this, I've outlined a few of my initiatives. My first goal as senator is to increase diversity within the college. As a person of color, I understand the difficulty in not seeing yourself represented in fields such as this one. As a senator, I want to create resources to provide information and support to those who may feel misrepresented. This initiative would include working with the Office of Multicultural Student Success and finding ways to both diversify the college and provide a sense of community for each student within the college. Another issue I find pressing students at DePaul is, along with tuition, costs for textbooks and materials for college place a heavy financial burden on students. I believe no student should have to hinder their education due to a financial pressure. My second goal, therefore, is to increase the accessibility to resources such as textbooks and technological resources needed for school. To achieve this, I would like to work closely with and help expand the Office of Multicultural Student Success's book loan program and their technology access fund. Lastly, with the current climate crisis and a steadily evolving global pandemic, it's our job to fight to protect our environment and the safety of our community. With that being said, as senator, I will push DePaul to implement more eco-friendly processes and doing our part in promoting policies that correspond with local, state, and CDC health guidelines. I plan to work with DePaul's Environmental Health and Safety Department to discuss new ways to make DePaul a greener university. These are just a few. Oh,
Your time's up.
okay, thank you.
Any questions? Parveen?
Hi there. So I know you had mentioned improving diversity and addressing misrepresentation. Are there any instances where you've noticed specifically that there's been an issue? And if so, do you have like a solution in mind to specifically address an issue?
The biggest issue or that I really see is that the non-diverse classrooms that I've been in personally, and then a way that I want to improve it is to work with the Office of Multicultural Student Success, because they have different programs and community-based programs or clubs with there's one for African Americans, one for LGBTQIA students, just to help make it a more diverse community in the College of Science and Health.
Great, thank you.
Gabriel?
Yes, Jacob, you touched on health. What is your position on the on a potential lockdown? How would you connect students with professors?
I think DePaul last year handled the pandemic really well in that we switched to Zoom online courses, but with a potential lockdown, I think we are more prepared to have a more connected, or more of a connection between the teachers and students. And I plan on working with the College of Science Health or as a senator, to help find a way to better connect the students and teachers.
Okay, thank you.
We have time for one more question, if there are any. Parveen again?
All right, hi there. I really don't like the awkward silence, so I'm just going to keep asking questions. So you did mention a couple of resources the Office of Multicultural Student Success had. I was wondering where you see the room for improvement and how you would want to expand these programs specifically.
For the textbook, the program for the help deferring the cost for textbooks, and the materials for college, hopefully to expand the catalog of the textbooks for one, as well as for the grant. It's, I believe, $100 per quarter for the technological resources. Hopefully we can expand that so people are able to feel more comfortable financially getting the technological resources for school.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. The final senator for the College of Science and Health is Aisha Igoblashi. If I didn't say it right, please correct me.
It's Aisha Agabashi.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. It's fine. It's really confusing. I'm just gonna introduce myself. I'm a freshman majoring in health sciences. Sorry, I'm sorry. I understand that I am a freshman and I don't have as much insight as to how DePaul kind of works and things like that, but I'm a really fast learner and I'm really adaptable and I'm not completely inexperienced. I was president of a couple clubs in my high school and I was involved in Model United Nations and UNICEF, things like that. And I think my experience in Model UN really helped me to get an understanding of kind of procedures and how things like this work and so things like that. A lot of my main goal is to kind of make it easier to stay in STEM related fields, because I know it's really difficult, especially for marginalized people from marginalized communities, things like that, especially like to connect with professors. And I know connecting with professors is a really big part of just the college experience, you know what I mean? And I think I'm pretty good at communicating. I'm very communicative, and I think that'll help me learn a lot more about the position itself. And I want to be able to be that bridge between professors and students and find these like research opportunities, things like that. And can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I have experience in social media marketing and managing things like that. And I want to be able to advertise events I organize, like ice cream socials, things like that, to kind of create more of a community. As a freshman entering into DePaul, I've seen other colleges have events and fun gatherings kind of to get to know the other people in your college. And I kind of want that for our college, to have that kind of community and sense of belonging and to know more people and to make it easier to kind of make friends, especially me as a commuter student. I find it a lot more difficult to meet people.
That is time.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
It's okay. Do we have any questions? Sergio?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So I know a lot of students are interested in possibly getting like a major or like a minor in like the College of Health and Science, like myself, but sometimes there's always that maybe like a hurdle to jump over when you're a little anxious or apprehensive. So I was wondering if you had any ideas of how to, maybe open up students' eyes towards the possibilities in terms of majors and minors within the College of Health and Science.
Possibly in like those events I mentioned, to have it kind of open invite and not completely closed. So whenever other students can come and see, like, I don't know, how fun science can really be, because I think that's a big issue for a lot of people, is that they think science is boring and hard and just not very enjoyable. And I disagree with that. I really love science and things like that. So I don't know, to make it seem more fun and show its true nature, things like that. Thanks for your question. Oh, can I add something to that actually?
Go ahead.
Okay. As a freshman, I think I can bring in like a fresh perspective kind of, and a new kind of outlook on things, and provide like that kind of, I don't know, young innocence. I don't know, that's a weird word for it. If you know what I'm going for, like just kind of make things more fun and enjoyable for people. And I don't know, I can connect with like upperclassmen as well and just bring back that fun part of college life.
Gabriel, or a question from Gabriel?
Yes. Aisha, how would you connect students' problems in your term as senator?
So what I was thinking of is, once I create an Instagram for our college, I have like an anonymous Google form in my bio for people to submit complaints or other things like that if they're not completely comfortable with coming up to me and talking about it, which is one of my main goals as well, to be really approachable for other students to be able to come up to me and talk to me, things like that. So to have that kind of anonymous form to let me know of students' concerns and stuff like that. And then I'll be able to connect with professors and the main board of SGA as well. If that answers your question.
Thank you. That concludes the Q&A session, and it will be that is the final senator for the College of Science and Health. We're going to be moving on to the senator for the School of Music. First up is Alona Carmina?
Kamanina, you're good. Can you guys hear me? Actually, I'm wearing my headphones since I'm in the music building currently before rehearsal. Okay, so my name is Alona Kamanina. I am double majoring in music education and vocal performance, and I'm double minoring in psychology and community service studies. At this point in my studies, I am on my 4th year. I will be here for a 5th to finish up my degree. I'm currently on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Board at the music school, as well as for the Phi Me fraternity at DePaul. The School of Music overall has been putting in additional efforts to continue the diversification process of the program through expanding repertoire options and to ensure that more groups are represented within ensembles and distancing from the Eurocentric approaches and repertoire studied in order to create a more inclusive environment through the topics in music study. I plan to work hand in hand with the STEAM Center to facilitate more involvement in DEI workshops and for additional community involvement. I often hear from my peers that they feel isolated from the rest of the university, the peers within the music school. If elected to SGA, I hope to further integrate the School of Music into the greater DePaul community. I also hope to make the programs offered for non-music majors more accessible by working with faculty and other students to bring awareness to programs and encourage students outside of the music school to audition. Another way in which I plan to connect the music school community with the rest of the university is by arranging opportunities for collaboration among the different schools within the university. While the community at the music school is unique and close-knit, I see great importance in expanding our connections past the bounds of the Performance Center. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin the Q&A. Parveen?
Hi again. So I did have a question. You mentioned a lot of work relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I wanted to ask, so when relating to issues that you're working to address in the School of Music, what have you or like the diversity board you're working on, if I may have misinterpreted that incorrectly, what have you all been able to do to help center communities that are affected by a lot of these DEI issues? For example, like if you're talking about a lack of diversity in an ensemble, making sure that people from that community, their voices are being heard, that kind of thing. Have you been able to do anything like towards that specifically?
Yes, actually. So in what I was saying earlier, we have been working on diversifying the repertoire in general that is being studied, and speaking with faculty, we've been able to all sort of like contribute ideas to what we would like to see, and as far as what the board has been able to do. So this is actually a fairly recent thing. This has just all been in the works within the past year, as of some of the issues that came up the previous summer. So we have a lot of like anonymous surveys, and people can speak up about issues that maybe they're not comfortable speaking about, coming from themselves, and just showing resources for people that maybe some people weren't aware of, and making sure we're sending those things out through email or posting on the bulletin board and things like that.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zoe?
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. I'm in arts and letters. It's really dark. Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm senator for the College of Education. It really excites me that you're a music ed major. I feel like a lot of music ed majors don't necessarily feel a part of the College of Education. So I was wondering if that is a relationship that you feel like needs to be worked on or to grow. And just letting you know, I would love to work with you on those kinds of topics. So if you have any like ideas or just any kind of like desire for that relationship to grow, I guess. Sorry, it's loud here.
Yes, absolutely. That was actually one of the things that I was considering. And I feel like overall, the art schools feel very separate within the university. And I feel like maybe those are relationships that we should work on and find ways to collaborate. As far as the education center, yes, I completely agree. The music education program does function separately from the education department at DePaul. I do very much feel that that should change. Maybe not entirely, as you know, the basis of the degrees are different, as it is like a bachelor's in music and education. But yes, absolutely. As far as like student teaching and maybe some of the forums, and yeah, as far as the schools that we maybe work in, maybe we can work more closely with within the different grade levels that we work with.
We will have one final question from Gabriel.
Hello, Lona. How would you support students who require assistance if we were to have a shutdown?
With students overall with the DePaul or within the
At
music program
DePaul,
specifically?
specifically
I
the
mean,
School of Music.
okay, specifically the School of Music. If we were to have another shutdown, I guess the first step would be to ensuring that everyone has access to internet, which is very difficult to kind of come by when things are unexpected, especially. What the School of Music has been doing is allowing for students to reserve practice spaces. And the practice spaces at the School of Music obviously have access to Wi-Fi. So I know a lot of people that are around Chicago have been utilizing that. So probably continuing to raise awareness and educating people on how they can reserve those practices in the classrooms so that they can continue to obviously participate. And again, yeah, as a lot of the instruments they can't really be played quietly, so that would bring about issues of neighbors and housing situations, and maybe even storing the instruments and having access to instruments outside of the music school. Yeah, just continuing to provide support and resources.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
And that concludes the senators for the School of Music. We'll be moving on to the position for senator for the College of Computing and Digital Media. First up is Drew King.
Hi, everyone. My name is Drew. Yeah, I'm a first-year MFA student here at DePaul in the film and television directing program. I did student government at my previous school. Sorry for the audio. But I did student government at my previous school, and yeah, I'd also love to do the same here. As far as vision, I think, if I'm honest, I don't know if I have one yet, because being my first year, I still don't know, if anything even needs to be fixed or can be fixed here, specifically in the School of Cinematic Arts. And I think because of that, because of my concentration here, if Mr. Ahmad is the other candidate, if he's a better fit for the position, I'd be more than happy to step aside. But at the same time, I'd also love to be a part of student government. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a long speech written out, and I apologize ahead of time. I might need to leave early before everyone finishes. That's it for me.
Thank you. Any questions? Wesley?
Hi, could you talk a little bit about some of your experiences in student government at your old school or whatnot? I'm just curious, just because obviously those things could help, in a future potential seat or potential being a potential senator. So I'm just curious if you could tell a little bit about your previous experiences with student government.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Wesley. I served initially my first role as treasurer. This was at Oakton Community College. And yeah, I did that for about a semester. Then the following term, I ran for president, did that. And yeah, I was for the most part working with the president of the college, where her vision was to increase retention because for community college, a lot of people don't follow through and wind up matriculating. So her idea was to get people engaged and staying on campus, especially since nobody dormed, everybody commuted. So a big part of what we did was figure out ways to make student activities more fun. So I did a lot of photography, and that's actually how I started to eventually what I do now, was taking photos of every event that I went to and, you know, trying to make it look fun, maybe sometimes more fun than it actually was, but that was part of the vision. Otherwise, yeah, I think for the most part, I feel like it's the same for almost everything, that, you know, try to do a good job and try to figure out, you know, who to connect and how to improve things, and at the same time not disrupting too many things. So yeah, that would be my take on it.
Parveen?
Hi there. First, it's awesome to hear that like you previously were in student government. I just kind of wanted to ask to elaborate on that a little bit. Were there any like favorite initiatives you had worked on or things that you had done while in student government in the past that you might hope to bring to DePaul?
Hi, Parveen. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. I think there were a few things. I actually just had a job interview and they asked about, I put Pop-Tart Club on my resume, and that was the first thing that I did when I first got there. That you know, I met a bunch of people, they liked different flavors of Pop-Tarts, and then the idea was just, you know, let's use club money to buy Pop-Tarts and we'll hang out and try different flavors. So that was a fun moment. I don't know how productive it was necessarily. I'd like to hope it was. But the thing that I think would be most relevant would maybe be, I believe it was called the #LoveGreen project, where we gave out seeds. There's like these little dollar store miniature pots. You put seeds in, you try to grow the plant. So we would give those out, and then we had a competition for people to submit. So this is a while back. Sorry, so like I'll have to pull this out of the memory bank. But we had a competition where people would grow their plant and then they would submit pictures. So it was almost like a time lapse of seeing who could do the best job growing their little plant. And I forgot exactly what the prize was, but yeah, the hope was that people would start to almost fall in love with taking care of plants, that you know, hopefully eventually they would have more appreciation for nature and greenery in the real world. And yeah, it was a while back, so you know, having difficulty recalling all the details, but I think something like that related to photo, video, or film here, I think maybe could be helpful. I don't know. So that's one thing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. We should have a Pop-Tart club here, honestly. I know so many people who would be down to do that. Yeah, just thanks for sharing.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Sadat Ahmad.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me and my candidacy. My name is Sadat Ahmed. I am freshly 19 years old, a freshman, and I am a Bengali American student double majoring in computer science and math. My parents were born in Bangladesh while I was born in Chicago, and I'm a first generation college student, meaning I'm the first person in my family to traverse through college. I'm part of the Generation Success cohort, which has provided me with an amazing community of first-gen students, and the Future Forward program, which is aimed towards helping me with future studies and work problems. Throughout elementary school and high school, the curriculum was always centered around leadership, taking charge for an action you intend to commit and bringing others with you to achieve that goal. If I were elected for senator for the CDM, I would like to push for community involvement. I would like to see how we can take the standards of DePaul's amazing computing and digital media arts and show it to other students so that they can take part in it. For example, there can be late night large group programming competitions weekly or bi-weekly. There can be digital art in the dark displays where students can all gather around and see the digital arts that these digital artists have created with technology. DePaul's CDM is really amazing. And by hosting events like this, not only do you strengthen the connection of the students who already like to participate in CDM events, but you can also attract other people who find the work or the atmosphere of the major or college interesting, which brings me to my second goal. I would like to foster inter-college activities, which means I would like to work closer with the other senators on the SGA and faculty members to see how we can combine both of our colleges, both of our ideas, and try to create an important experience for the students. Combining digital, computers can create many things, but once you pair it up with another equally detail-rich major in college, you can create so many more unique programs tailor-made for any occasion. Combine digital media with marketing, and you've unlocked a whole new media form to put marketing in. Combine computer science with math and any of the other sciences, and you realize how much more you can do with computers. Since I'm a computer science and math major, I also work in
Your
the...
time is up.
All right. Well,
We're going to move on to the Q&A portion. Zoe, go ahead.
Hello. I actually just wanted to give you a chance to finish the statement you were saying. You're saying because you're a computer science and math major, I just wanted to allow you to finish that statement. So I guess that's my question.
Thank you, Zoe. Yeah, since I'm a computer science and math student, not only is my primary objective of computer science in the CDM, but I'm also working with the College of Sciences for my math degree. And, you know, when I'm working with math and computer science, those two are probably my two most favorite subjects to ever learn. I have a genuine passion within those. And even though they're from two different colleges, they're both part of the same like topic of using computers to probably dive deeper than you ever could with a paper and pencil in the world of math. And I'm only a freshman, but I can already tell that math and computer science are working so well together according to the curriculum and how well one topic correlates with another, that I can say that they're two sides of the same coin. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Jacob?
Real quick, you said something about working with other senators, like along with computer science, and somehow you can make, or do you have any ideas, what I'm asking, as in like, what could you do with the other senators? Do you have anything in particular that like you want to employ? Like, how do you want to use computer science to help, say, health and science or sustainability?
Well, working with other senators would actually allow me to work with the other branches that they're involved in. If I work with the community student affairs, I can try to, work with work and try to understand like what are some of their techniques for stress relief, and then I can actually try to implement it or try to suggest something of a similar nature in computer science fashion or digital arts fashion. I know that majors like those can be time consuming and a little bit difficult. So I feel like if I work with other senators, I'll be able to come to a better conclusion or come and get a better idea or solution than I would if I were to work on my own. Another example would be working with the Senator for Commuters. I'm a commuting student myself, and I can already, commuting an hour a day, an hour twice every single day, it's really not the way to go. So maybe we can work on some other activities that, since computers are a mainly digital thing, you can always try to create activities that you can do on the train, on the way commuting, whenever you have the free time to try and hone your skills or work on a project. Thank you for the question again.
Thank you for the answer.
Thank you. That will conclude the position for Senator for the College of Computing and Digital Media. Up next is the Senator for Commuter Students. So Lennon Plazas.
Yes, sir. That's me.
Go ahead.
All right. My name is Lennon, and running for a student government position isn't something new for me. I was senior class president. I was the student rep for my local school council back at Taft High School. And running for a commuter center has always been something that I've been dreaming of since this is my last year at DePaul. So I always wanted to be involved with the SGA. So my agenda will include, as many of you here talked about, such as Aisha and Sadat recently, was that late events isn't the way to go for commuter students because it's just so damn late. And for many commuters, they don't want to stay up that late because they're either anxious to commute at night or they just don't have the time if they live far away. So I want to guarantee that there's school events or some form of online events where every student, such as commuters, can attend. I also want to make sure that a lot of students, pre-COVID, the CTA would hand out these pink slips if there was a train delay or if some technical difficulties happen that would cause a student to arrive late to class. I'm not sure if that's a thing because of COVID, but if it is, that's something that not a lot of students knew about. So I feel like there has to be some form of resource, some form of area where commuter students understand that there are these resources that they could, for instance, they could reach out to their professors and be like, hey, might be 10 minutes late. This is not a weak excuse. Here's the evidence. And that leads into my other area where I want to make sure if there's a way to establish some form of leeway for commuter students who will arrive late, as mentioned, maybe professors could give them some form of open window, some form of evidence. The other thing is I want to establish commuter-only events at DePaul to allow commuters to socialize, meet with each other, and create this stronger community. And most importantly, I want to establish Metra into our U passes or a separate Metra pass because all the commuters I've talked to, they've always mentioned about commuter students feeling, Metra commuter students feeling isolated from all UPass students. So I want to incorporate Metra commuters into other commuters.
Thank you, Lennon. That is time.
Yep.
Any questions? Hermela?
Yeah, so Lennon, I just have a quick question for you. So with building community with commuter students and making that commuter student only events, do you feel like you want to create community within that shared experience, or do you think that you want to kind of help them feel more integrated into the rest of the college?
It's a little bit of both because as a commuter since freshman year, I have felt isolated from DePaul events because they're just so late, or I just don't have the time to stay up at campus for all that time and later have that hour-and-a-half commute back home. So I kind of want to build a community where commuters feel like they're part of the DePaul community through events and through socializing, but also I want to create some form of other community for commuters only where they could also get to know each other. Maybe they could, it'd be nice for them to look out for one another when commuting because I understand that commuting could be a little anxious for especially first-year students. So I want to make sure that they're not anxious at all and that they know that, they'll be safe while commuting.
Thank you.
Question from Gabriel.
Hello, Lennon. I myself am a commuter. So what is your take on the COVID risks because they are high on public transportations?
Well, seeing how CTA has their separate guidelines for handling COVID, such as mask at all times, we're gonna have to take their word for it when they say that they sanitize all the seats and all the trains and buses after use and all that. There's not much what DePaul could do with CTA except maybe we could hand out commuter students at those commuter events I was mentioning, like little tiny hand sanitizer packets. If they don't have masks, give them extra masks. I know that some people have been using plastic latex gloves. If they're not allergic, give them to them so that they feel more secure. You know, it's more like giving them the equipment they need versus talking to CTA personally, because that's a separate entity.
Okay, thank you.
Aisha?
Thank you. I know you mentioned you're a senior. How do you expect to be able to, I don't know, make your changes last as a senior that won't be able to stay longer in SGA?
Well, I'm a senior and I'll be at DePaul until the summer. And someone else here mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but they say that one of their main goals is to make sure that whatever they do in office continues on to their successors. I want to make sure that that is also applicable for all senators, especially for commuter senators. Maybe if there's some way that I could reach out to candidates for commuters during the election cycle, so I could give them lists of what I've done or agendas that I couldn't accomplish, and give them tips on how to handle it, offices that they could talk to, resources that they could potentially have or advocate for. So it's almost like you have to extend your hand to the people running, almost like the presidential transition where the former president, well, the president-elect and the president, they meet to discuss those ideas. That's something that I kind of want to do with my successor along the road.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the Senator for Commuter Students. We're going to be moving on to the Senator for International Students, Wing Jung-gu.
Yeah. Can I start? Cool.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is Wenshan Oliver Gu. I've been living and studying as an international student in the U.S. since high school. As an exchange student, the first time when I came to the U.S., Chicago is like my hometown in the U.S. since I attended high school here. I went to for undergrad, went to UC Davis in 2017 and graduated this past summer. I had a good amount of experience as an international student in both Midwest and West region of the U.S. So I enjoy the experience of being an international student, and always believe that students from worldwide should join together as a large community. So as a senator, I'd love to lead more international students to present themselves at DePaul in Chicago area. And I'd love to create more exclusive orientations and social gatherings for international students with different backgrounds, and also providing underrepresented international students or first-year international students in the U.S. with maximum assistance. Also, like organizing more international oriented academic fairs or social fairs in order to assist them to help them to get involved. Yeah. Any questions can ask me. Oh, yeah.
Parveen.
Hi there. So I just had one question real quick. I only know a couple of international students myself, but I was just wondering, what are issues that are currently affecting the international student community, and issues that you hope to address, hopefully as a senator?
Yeah, good question. As a senator, we see the impact of COVID, and so for school, DePaul had like a lot less international students enrolled this year. So I looked at the status, so like almost like reduced like half. So last year we had like almost like 700. This year we only had less than 300. So less international students getting involved because of COVID, and also we see that it's hard for international students, especially if they're their first year in the U.S. Then it's so hard for them to make friends and getting connect with each other. You know, yeah, these are all the obstacles we see these days. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm. Yeah. Any other questions? Any questions will be fine. Yeah.
Gabriel?
Hello, Winston. What would your take be if the city went back onto a lockdown?
Went back to a lockdown. Yeah. So, well, good question. So, I actually, so we have a lot of like social media, like we use every day. So I'll do my best to, to set up some, like events online. So, like on Instagram or Facebook. So, or like watch movies together online. We have Zoom and all kinds of like social media things though we can use so to stay connected. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Aisha?
Yeah. I know you said that international students kind of feel isolated in your own experience as well. Would you rather, or not would you rather, would you also want to work on kind of making international students more comfortable with going to DePaul events in general, instead of just like only international student events?
Yeah, definitely. If as a senator, I would definitely, I shouldn't like keep them in a bubble, and shouldn't like only set events for these group of people to to together. I would love to lead them, to see the city, to see some areas together, and not only like academically, like socially, and lead them to meet other local students, the U.S. students. So the reason to do that is to help them, to get them involved, to make them feel comfortable in the city, in this area. Yeah.
Thank you. That will conclude the Center for International Students. We're going to move on to the Center for Intercultural Awareness, Parveen Mundi.
Hi there. First, can everyone hear me? I think my screen might be lagging a little bit.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, let's just get started then. Hi everyone, my name is Parveen. You've heard me quite a bit already. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a first year political science major. To give you a little bit of my background, my advocacy work is largely based in school organizations and nonprofits. In high school, I helped run the first ever Afrocentric club. I also campaigned to successfully elect the first ever Black board member in my school district's Board of Education. I've organized a sexual assault prevention campaign in the largest public high school district in Illinois. I was also in debate and Model UN. Beyond the classroom, I've experienced working in racial justice organizations and currently sit on the executive board of Dear Asian Youth, which is a global student-led nonprofit that works to empower Asian youth through our network of 100,000 plus Instagram followers and 170 chapters in 20 countries across the globe. I also run a youth nonprofit in the Chicagoland area. I think it's safe to say that all of us have experienced DePaul in very different ways. Some of us have known it through a screen. Some of us feel as though we've entered a time warp. Some of us are just constantly moving through a state of shock and dissonance. I'm running for the Senator of Intercultural Awareness because I believe we all deserve for DePaul to feel like home. And so my platform is based on that idea of achieving institutional empathy through an inclusive agenda, including anti-racist policies that are not just service level, accountability on sexual harassment, a coalition in support of livable wages for the workers that serve us every day, and so much more. As your senator, my promise to you would be that I would fight for a DePaul that is empathetic, community-oriented, and home for everyone. I'd be really honored to have your vote. Thank you.
We finished right on time. That was perfect. Any questions? Hermela?
Yeah, so well, you have such an amazing background, but I would just kind of wondering, like, what do you think like your biggest takeaway from doing like kind of social justice work is? And like what do you think like your largest struggle was?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I've kind of gotten from social justice work is understanding that I'm constantly learning and unlearning. And at the end of the day, centering the communities that are most affected by an issue plays a huge part. Just being an active listener, understanding that, you know, sometimes all you really need to do is just uplift and amplify different voices from different historically excluded and marginalized backgrounds. To answer the second part of your question, I think one of my biggest struggles was kind of going into like the whole activism sphere. It felt very exclusive. And I had a hard time feeling like I belonged, even in spaces made for Asian youth. And, you know, being an ethnic minority as well kind of played into that, but understanding that a lot of people encounter that sort of imposter syndrome. And then just kind of, you know, having a little bit of faith in myself and giving myself a little bit of grace along the way.
Thank you for sharing.
Question from Gabriel.
Praveen. So you talked about a lot of connecting the marginalized and creating social chains, so to speak. And I'm wondering, if there is a lockdown, how are you going to address or work with multicultural groups to keep open lines of communication so that we don't have further problems?
Yeah, so that's an awesome question, partially because my experience in Dear Asian Youth, we were founded in May 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic. We operate completely remotely, considering we have members from all over the globe. And of course, we probably will never meet up in person. But just kind of, I do have experience working in, you know, like messaging channels such as like, for example, Discord, Slack, GroupMe, whatever kind of works best for people. I have experience overseeing and leading teams anywhere from 5 to 75 people in the different departments I work in at Dear Asian Youth. So I do have a lot of lived experience kind of navigating that, just because of my work in Dear Asian Youth and the fact that we're completely remote as an organization. That's an awesome question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The final question will be from Kaya.
Hey, okay, so I was just wondering, like, what specific initiatives, like goals, did you have for like this year?
So that's a great question. I do have a campaign Instagram. If any of you want to check it out, it's Parveen for DePaul with the number 4. That kind of dives into everything a bit more deeply. But I can just kind of run things over. One of my big ones is I want to kind of push administration into creating separate cultural centers for Asian and Pacifica students, because we deserve funded sanctuaries of our own instead of being painted as a monolith by lots of predominantly white institutions. One of the other things I also wanted to do, the SGA passed a referendum to kind of push administration into ending the Fraternal Order of Police tuition discount. And I want to kind of push that part of those funds be used to support student organizing efforts and advocacy led by students and student organizations on campus, considering that we already passed the referendum and there will be a fund of money that's just kind of been sitting there if we are able to end that tuition discount for good. And then one other thing that I just kind of wanted to place a special emphasis on is supporting the Chartwell workers who are going on strike and ensuring that everyone employed through DePaul, whether it be in the dining hall or in another area on campus, has a living wage. And then hopefully incorporating a little bit of my advocacy work in high school and possibly launching a sexual assault prevention campaign here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the Center for Intercultural Awareness. We're going to be moving on to the Center for Sustainability. First up is Lamika Hayes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening to me today. I will gladly appreciate your votes in the SGA election, where I am running for Senator of Sustainability. I've been a commuter student my entire experience at DePaul. I am now a fourth-year graduating senior, and I've always felt that commuters' experience should be valued a little bit more, given that the university is over 90% commuters. I've heard and I myself have felt that commuters spend a ridiculous amount of money on food and transportation despite the U-Pass. Those are two issues that I'd like to address immediately in this position. Last year, I was in a sustainability management course in the Driehaus College, and I had a group project where I was told to work on improving sustainability issues on campus. Since then, I have felt a strong desire to take action with sustainability issues here. I really want to tackle the hunger issues and the transportation issues with commuter students. There is so much violence on this campus, and I think students are too accessible to Chicago's violence, or they are prone to violence due to the poverty they experience while attending this university. Commuters are expected to purchase meals or on campus or nearby restaurants daily, which can add up. And it could be hard, especially if they're doing it continuously with limited funds. I would like to work on projects that provide students with free meals and groceries. I've thought about starting initiatives in collaboration with sustainable student orgs and networks on campus to make student grocery stores and food halls accessible to students. Hopefully these same students take advantage of them and they aren't embarrassed to go. Sustainability on campus should be affordable. Even though we do have access to healthier options on campus, they are higher, which is not what we think when we think sustainable. If it's sustainable, it should be sustainable for everyone. And then another initiative I wanted to implement is fundraising for a shuttle bus. I am aware that there is a shuttle bus, but I'm sure if I'm not the only one.
I'm sorry, but your time has expired. We're going to move on to the Q&A.
Okay.
Parveen?
Oh, sorry, there we go. So I guess my question would be, you've mentioned a few different issues going on relating to hunger, relating to transportation, even just reducing violence on and around campus. I wanted to ask, and I'm assuming you were probably going to go into this, maybe what a couple solutions would look like. I'm just personally trying to kind of better understand these issues and, what a possible solution could be for any of them.
Yeah, so we get daily alerts from the university on violence on the campus, but especially on the CTA getting off or on the CTA. And I think if we were to get a EV shuttle bus, which is more eco-friendly, that could really help with reducing violence on campus, especially because Loyola has a very similar structure to DePaul, and they have a shuttle bus for in between campus traveling. So I think DePaul should mirror that, and it might reduce crime rates, given that they are more prone to crime than Loyola.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Parveen again.
Sorry, I'm a awkward silence. I despise it. What I wanted to ask was, I hopefully hopefully many of us will be senators, and I wanted to ask how you see your role kind of being able to collaborate with other senators and other elected officials in student government, whether that be the senator for the College of Arts and Sciences or another position. How do you see your role kind of working with others?
I think someone who spoke on the senator for commuters, their vision is very much aligned with mine. So I definitely see myself working with that person, but I also see myself working with all of you. Like I said, 90% of the population are commuters. And sustainability is something that affects everyone across the entire campus. And like I said, when people are on campus, they are going hungry. So if we could work together in each school to figure out how to make sure that that isn't a problem, I would definitely be on board with that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate up is Jacob Schreiner. Schreiner,
yeah. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Jacob Schreiner. I'm a sophomore. I'm in the honors accounting program at Dry House. Basically, what I like to do as Senator of Sustainability is I've heard a lot of good ideas like over the last however long, but basically I want to make sure that all those ideas can be implemented and they can be economically and ecologically and socially viable over the long term. Like obviously we have the Senator for Commuting, Lennon, right? He's a senior. It's last year here. He wants to pass on like his ideas and the events that he plans to, institute here this year. They want to last. They want to help commuters next year and the year after, even when he's gone. And so I want to be there to make sure that we can keep doing that. That we have the funds, that it's possible, and that it's good for the environment. Obviously, in that situation, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but like there's plenty of other ideas that people have and events that people want to implement that I don't want everything to fall off. I don't want to restart every 3 years, every 4 years when new elections come in, new people have new ideas. I want to make sure that like the stuff that we do lasts and it does good while it lasts. Besides that, one of my biggest things is I want it to be sustainable for us to stay on campus. I'm a sophomore, so my last year I was all online and I feel like I missed out on a lot of benefits that I get in just these past couple of weeks being on campus. So I think that it's important that we get to stay on campus or at least have the option to be here present. I mean, socially, I feel like it's a huge difference. Obviously, there's clubs and stuff like that that happened last year online. It's possible. And I think that's something that we should definitely put more effort into improving because obviously, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but your time is up.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the Q&A portion. Parveen?
Oh, hi there. I just kind of wanted to ask, what kind of specific initiatives maybe or ideas did you have in mind for helping make DePaul just like a more eco-friendly school in general, like initiatives that we could implement day to day?
Okay, well, it's kind of difficult to address those issues because it's really systematic. I mean, it's the way society has developed to this point that really causes all of the big problems with climate change and stuff like that. So ideally, we'd have to implement something big. And I go for like green energy would be huge. I mean, solar energies, I'm not sure how viable they are in the city. Unfortunately, I've had strep throat for the last couple of weeks. I've kind of been out of it. So I haven't really been able to look into the viability of some of these options as much. But green energy would be a huge plus. Rooftop gardens, I hope would be nice. I feel like they'd be good socially because we need new places to hang out kind of thing, especially as people are on campus. And I feel like that could work for commuters too. Just having a place to socialize, enjoy greenery. I took a class last year on that, and so that's a huge aspect, gardens and green spaces in the city. But also that serves ecologically, you use rainwater and then it gets recycled, back up in the atmosphere, comes back around. It also helps with cooling and heating costs. So that's a huge thing. Also, like implementation of like smart thermostats, which could help just save on costs like that, reduce emissions from cooling and heating, because that's huge here in the city. Those are the main ones, but I'd love to work too with everybody else and your events and your ideas on how we can make those ecologically friendly. Besides that, those are my big ones as of right now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. That is going to conclude the Senator for Sustainability position. We're going to move on to the Senator for First Generation College Students, starting with Sergio Godinez.
Yeah, you got it right, which is very rare for a lot of people, but you got it.
That makes me feel good.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Sergio Godinez. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a sophomore here at DePaul, and I'm really excited to be running to be your next senator for first generation college students. As a first gen student myself, I know that first gen issues don't even start the first day of college. They actually start in high school. But since I've been at DePaul, I've met some incredible people and worked with some incredible organizations that have made the transition to a college lifestyle way easier for me. And I'd really be excited to be your senator and go ahead and extend those opportunities to first generation college students here at DePaul. So I'd like to talk about a couple of my initiatives. My first one would be to create a First Gen Day here on campus. So it's basically a whole day dedicated to celebrating first generation college students here at DePaul, while also inviting a lot of Chicago community members who were first generation college students themselves in order to speak about their experiences and show first gen college students that they can be successful not only in their 4 years in college, but also beyond in the workforce. My second initiative would be to help spread mental health programs here on campus. Excuse me, I did lose my voice yesterday, so I'm working through it here. So in terms of spreading mental health, I know with being a first gen college student comes a lot of issues like imposter syndrome. So I know spreading awareness about mental health and getting kids engaged will make them feel like they do have a place here and show that representation does matter. I always like to say that college students, this is our campus and this is our future. So I always think it's very important to make sure first gen college students are having the representation on campus and are using their voices in towards to make DePaul a better and more inclusive place for everybody. So that's it about me. And now I'm free to take any questions.
Arvine.
Hi there. That was an awesome speech. And I know you were talking about just representation of like first generation low income college students in general. And I think that's just like really crucial to the work SGA does. So I guess my question is, what is an initiative you would advocate for to ensure that SGA is accurately representing people of all backgrounds, whether that be cultures, gender identities, just different communities in general, much like first generation and low income students?
Right, that's a really great question. I would say, first of all, I would really try to connect with the Office of Multicultural Student Success. They do a lot of incredible outreach here on campus, and I've been to a couple of their events, and they're just great at making sure they're meeting students where they're at. And I think as an SGA senator, I would want to do the same thing of meeting students where they're at, whether it's having like a night with the senators or like lunch with the senators, where you kind of just get a chance to casually talk to people. I'm always big. I would consider myself a personable person, so I'm always down to just strike up a conversation with people. So I think it's a lot about meeting people where they're at and really taking the time to listen to their issues, or, you know, sometimes people have even better ideas than you do in the first place. So I think it's all about just meeting people where they're at.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Aisha?
Hi. So I know you said that a lot of the issues for first-gen students kind of start in high school. How do you plan to sort of connect with them and make it a little bit easier, make the whole process a little bit easier for them?
Right. So, I mean, speaking from personal experience, the whole college application process as a first-gen college student was incredibly difficult. No one in my family knew how to do it, let alone did I. So it was a lot of trial and error. But I think, you know, with the issues starting your like junior, senior year of high school, by the time you become a college freshman, sometimes those issues tend to drag down on you a little bit more, because now you're in a college environment where you made it in, but now your success is kind of dependent on your own work ethic. So I think having a lot of events, whether they're group study sessions or, you know, having, I know we could also work with the DePaul Activities Board to put on a lot of great events. Just making sure that students are aware that there is inclusivity, that there is representation, and their voices are being heard is the correct way to go, just because you want to make sure that students know that whether it's their first day on campus or they're seniors already, that there still is a place for them here on campus, anywhere they are.
We are gonna move on. I'm sorry, Parveen.
No worries.
The next candidate up is Hermela Gosha or Goshu.
Yeah. So hi everyone. My name is Hermela Goshu. I'm a first-year student and a first-gen student as well. I'm originally from Denver, Colorado, and I'm majoring in health sciences with a minor, hopefully in poli-sci. A bit of my background: I did a lot of organizing and like social justice work back home in Denver. I won't take too much time to elaborate on that, but a huge part of what I did in my school and in my state with both state legislature, federal legislature, and my school community was just organizing people for the greater good. But yeah, if you guys want to ask me any questions about that, you're more than welcome to. But as a first-gen student here at DePaul, my very first experience with a program meant for first-gen students went very poorly, which is why I decided that I should run. I feel like DePaul is a school that has a lot of opportunity and a lot of supports for first-gen students, but I think that in some ways those opportunities are gatekept, and you have to do a lot of digging and a lot of work that is unnecessary and actually works against what they're for anyway. So as senator, I would really want to spread the wealth and spread the resources, make sure that all first-gen students on campus are aware of each other, are aware of the resources that they should use, and just kind of have an understanding of the help that they need and deserve and like what's going on. I also really want to create community within the first-gen community. I think that there's a wide variety of us. We come from all different backgrounds and all different places, not only in America, but in the world. And I think that coming out of this pandemic, we have a really unique opportunity to reinvent what the first-gen experience here at DePaul is like. And I want to hear from first-gen students, and you know, include students that aren't first-gen in the conversation.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but that is your time. I also apologize for missing the 30-second marker.
No worries. But yeah, welcome to ask any questions.
Parveen?
Hi. I just wanted to ask like what your last sentence was going to be. If you wanted to like finish your thought.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say that, like, I think coming out of this pandemic, we have a really unique opportunity to reinvent what the first generation experience is like. And, you know, I would really like to use this platform to do that and work with our first gen community at DePaul to make sure things like imposter syndrome and, you know, not feeling at home aren't a part of our vocabulary. And we understand that, like, we belong here and we deserve to be here.
Cool. Thank you.
David?
Oh, one second. Hi, sorry, we're all here in the room, so we got a little bit of feedback. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble following. It sounded like you were talking about the inaccessibility of like being in a large university bureaucracy. People who don't have the advantage of coming from a family where their parents have gone through that bureaucracy have more difficult time navigating that. And I'm the current senator for disabled students, and so I was just curious. I don't know the question, but how to phrase this as a question. But what your thoughts on like plain English, making that kind of explanation more approachable. Sorry, it's not a very good phrased question, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that as it might relate to disabled students, because I feel like that issue is not really, I mean, first generation students have it a lot harder, but yeah, I think the bureaucracy is inaccessible to everyone. It's just more inaccessible to first generation. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think with first gen students, it's partially not knowing what exists and what's there to help you, and then a combination of that and not knowing your rights and not knowing, you know, what should be happening or how to advocate for yourself in the you know, instance that it doesn't happen. So like a huge part of why I think building community is so important is because I think giving people that knowledge of these are your rights and these are your resources, and this is how we can use those two things to make sure that you're getting what you deserve here is like really important. And yeah, I would think with like students with disabilities as well, like, you know, informing them of what their school owes them and what this community owes them, and then combining that with the resources that are available to them would, you know, fill a really huge gap in, you know, what our experience is versus what it should be and what people with more privilege have.
Thank you. That is going to conclude our Center for First Generation College Students. We're going to move on to the Center for First Year Students with Kia Price.
Hi guys, my name is Kaya and I'm a freshman studying marketing with a minor in public law and political thought. From a young age, politics and government have been a really big part of my life, from attending protests at the Texas Capitol to working at election polls during the 2020 presidential election. Through these experiences, I have gained a really big passion and appreciation for creating change within smaller communities such as DePaul that I think serve as kind of a ripple effect for change within our society as a whole. My first goal, if I'm elected, would be to create an initiative that encourages students to vote during off-years elections, such as this year. I found that many times students are deterred from voting during non-presidential election years because they don't feel confident in their abilities to cast an educated vote. Through this initiative, I would like to increase voter registration on campus by providing students with accessible online resources for fast and easy registration and creating clear, unbiased informational resources about the political candidates they're voting for. I think that off-year elections are just as important, if not more important, to getting representatives in office who both fit our individual needs and wants and those of our community. Another goal I have would be to implement an accessible class and resource materials initiative throughout campus. Unfortunately, it's not common for college students to struggle financially, and I feel like one of the easy expenses that could be eliminated would be textbooks. This initiative would include increasing awareness of the Office of Multicultural Student Success Book Loan Library and then working to expand the library from 1,500 textbooks to 2,000 by the end of the year, and then creating a digital library catalog of the books available. Finally, I would like to create an initiative that works to increase sexual assault awareness and prevention around campus. During my short time of being a student here, I have heard of a lot of reports of sexual harassment and assault of DePaul students, and as this is a very personal issue to me, I know that there is not one simple solution, but I think that we can create a community that is safe to move forward and destigmatize it. So if anyone has any questions, yeah.
David?
Hey, I hear you talking about the textbooks. I was wondering if you had any familiarity with the existing initiatives at, or the initiatives at SGA that, for example, the current president and vice president ran on the platform of making textbooks more affordable. I was wondering if you had any familiarity with that and how you might work with that.
I've looked into it a little bit. Honestly, I'm not like super familiar with it. I think given the textbook like situation, one of the ways that I would want to like create, like one thing that I'd like to do is at the end of the year have some sort of like incentive for people to donate their books at the end of the year to the library. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with that one initiative that you just mentioned. But if I am elected, I would like look into that and then work with them to hopefully build upon that.
Aisha?
I was just wondering what other kind of initiatives you have to help first year students into their like transition and like coming into DePaul as first years.
So I am not from Illinois. A lot of people I feel like from DePaul are from Illinois or like the surrounding states. I'm from Texas. So I really get like it was a huge transition and like kind of a scary one. Something that personally helped me was all the like online kind of like little meet and greets, especially on social media. So hopefully like just putting together kind of like, I know we have like the Facebook page and stuff, but like maybe making an official DePaul like Instagram, because I feel like that's more obtainable and like just like people like our age tend to use like Instagram and stuff like that more than Facebook. And just creating like stuff like that and just like online things throughout the year for, or like before like the transition.
Our final question is going to come from Pardine.
Oh, okay. Hi there. I just wanted to kind of throw a bit of an open-ended question. Maybe what are 2 or 3 values or words you would use to describe your platform/campaign and why?
I am really like running off of just like the community aspect and being sociable. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. And I think that that's a way that like all of us as a community, as a group of like students in SGA are really gonna like come together to make change. So yeah.
Thank you. That's going to conclude our Center for First Year Students. We're going to move on to the Center for College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. First up is Raneem Kusum.
Qasim, it's with an A.
Awesome.
Okay. So hi everybody, I'm Raneem. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a freshman studying econ, more geared towards like the public policy end, which is why I'm in the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. Also on like a pre-law track. Just some background information about me. I've served on various board positions throughout high school, most notably probably the Model UN position of secretary and president at my high school. So I got to see both the technical aspects of working with others as well as overlooking an entire club as president. And this makes me more qualified to work with other people, which is an essential part of being a senator, working as like a small part, but yet essential part within the entire whole of SGA. So I'd like to talk about some initiatives that I'd like to introduce this year, hopefully, if I get the opportunity to serve as LAS senator. First of all, I'd like to make sure that there are more opportunities for students to provide feedback, especially within, for me specifically LAS, within other colleges too, working with other senators to have that initiative, provided, especially because I haven't seen many opportunities for places where I could, go for feedback. So especially utilizing social media for that. And definitely bridging the gap between the Loop and Lincoln Park campuses, because I'm an economics major, so a lot of my classes are in the Loop, but I'm also connected to Lincoln Park just as much. And I feel like they feel sometimes as if they're two separate campuses. And I feel like working to have SGA be, a united club throughout both campuses will be very helpful. Another thing that I would like to work on is introducing diversity, especially to the College of LAS, and welcoming prospective students and teaching them about different, different diverse opportunities on campus and how to get involved in those different communities. And overall, I'd also like to work with SGA, people from different positions to introduce, mental health initiatives, especially because I haven't seen many of that yet on campus, such as speakers or even therapy dogs in a room or something, just small things like that to help us, be, yeah. But yeah.
Your time is up. We're gonna move on to the Q&A portion.
Cool.
David?
I'll let anyone else go first if there's anyone in front of me, because I keep raising my hand. But if there isn't, you mentioned bridging the gap between the Lincoln Park and the Loop campus. As someone who is, I live in the middle of the Loop campus. I'm much more connected to the Loop campus. This is a very real issue. And I was just wondering if you had any, if you could share some of your concrete ideas about how you might make the Loop people feel more included.
I think that would probably specifically stem from having more events being held on the Loop campus. I know the DePaul Activities Board, organizes a bunch of different events, but most of those events that I've gone to have been centered in Lincoln Park. And I feel like if we try to split that between both campuses, have people, it's just a 15-minute ride down to the Loop. So it wouldn't be too much of a commute even for people living on Lincoln Park. So it would encourage people from Lincoln Park to get into the Loop more and host events there so that it could form more of a sense of community so that people here could also, experience the Loop, which is,
Okay, I just wanted to ask about your whole mental health initiative. Mental health issues are kind of a thing that affect a lot of different students in a lot of different colleges. So how do you plan on working with senators of different colleges and kind of introducing that for all students?
I think that was one of my goals for overall, working within SGA as a whole as a senator. And I feel like part of my job as senator would be to introduce different initiatives and vote on different initiatives that would help SGA as a whole. So I think that would be geared more towards DePaul as an entire community, and working with specific senators. Each college could have an event specific to their college, especially because different, colleges have different levels of stress, of different motivators that would lead to mental health issues that would be specific to their college, that I feel like senators of that college would be more familiar with those issues, and that would allow them to come up with better ideas that they feel would benefit them and students who are in the same boat as them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Evan Mueller.
Yeah, it's Mueller, but that's fine. Okay. Hello, my name is Evan Mueller. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am currently a sophomore double majoring in economics and political science. I'm from the lovely suburb that is Woodridge, Illinois. If you haven't been, I recommend you visit. I'm very excited to run for senator for the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. I think I can say safely for everyone that because of this pandemic, the school year has a newness to it most others don't. And with that in mind, I've decided to run for senator to make this year as accessible and supportive as possible. And I've made sure my initiatives reflect that. To begin, I want to tackle the cost of textbooks. I think we can all pretty much agree it's a burden and that it shouldn't be a burden. And as senator, I really want to work towards mitigating that problem as much as possible, if not getting rid of it. To start, I'd spread awareness about the Office of Multicultural Student Successes book loan program, and I also work towards growing the program, widening its resources, and consequently widening its ability to help DePaul students who need it. I'd also focus on minimizing textbook costs as much as possible for students, especially those who demonstrate a financial need, as the book loan program unfortunately won't be able to accommodate every student who needs to use it as of now. Another initiative I'm very passionate about is eliminating unpaid internships on campus. While I appreciate the Internship Plus program here at DePaul, it sadly can only cover about half of its applicants per quarter, at least that's what I saw on the website, and therefore it limits students who don't have the extra time to work without pay. Lastly, I'd like to share my goal to create and promote mental health resources for students. I plan to promote an environment that can alleviate stress by promoting mental health awareness by promoting organizations such as the Student Support Program and having events on campus to promote wellness, all to help students focus more on their studies and well-being. Thank you all again for coming out and for having me. I hope to win your vote next week and to become your senator for the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the Q&A portion.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand before and then raise it again, so it wasn't clear. If it wasn't clear, I was raising my hand.
Go ahead, David.
I was just going to ask the same thing I asked the other candidate about that the reducing the cost of textbooks is something that the current president and vice president ran on, and so it's already something being discussed. And I was wondering if you had any familiarity with those and existing initiatives, and if so, if you had any thoughts on them.
Unfortunately am not familiar with those initiatives. Obviously, if I do become senator, I would want to become familiar with those initiatives because I do really care for this issue. I want to get it solved. So if their initiatives obviously sound good and if we can make them happen, I would love to be a part of that. Thank you for your question.
I think Johnny might be having some technical
Yeah.
difficulties. So knowing Parveen, you've got a question. Why don't you go ahead and say it now if there's no other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I know you had part of your platform is working to eliminate unpaid internships and just ensuring like living wages for everybody, which is something I also really value. I wanted to ask from your perspective how you see possibly, or what your take on the Chartwell's worker strike is, and where you
food aren't being paid fairly. And yeah, I care a lot about the issue, and I think SGA kind of has like a responsibility to really work with. I think like the campaign's trying to work with the DePaul Board of Trustees. So and I think SGA has a role to do whatever it can to really fight for those workers. Thank you for your question.
Johnny, are you still here? No, great. Any additional questions?
And every week I do volunteer service through Heartland Alliance at DePaul, where I tutor undocumented immigrants and refugees. I am running a couple different initiatives and goals. The first one being advocacy for student workers. Seeing that we are working in a pandemic, many departments are not treating their student workers the way that they should be, and are expecting way too much from them with very little budget or with lots of hours. And quite frankly, if you're going to have people working during a pandemic, you should be giving them the proper resources and treating them right so that they're able to actually do the job that they're asked to do. Secondly, we want to be holding professors accountable and creating social justice requirements. A lot of professors, especially in the College of Law, have made very racist remarks, such as saying the N-word, and their justification for doing so is academic reasons. I think many professors hide behind their tenure shield and pretend that social justice requirements do not apply to them. And so, quite frankly, a lot of people, especially administration, don't know how tenure works exactly, and a lot of professors have broken have validated tenure, and they need to be held accountable for doing so. And we need to ensure that we're protecting our students, especially students of color and students who have demanded these professors stop doing what they're doing. We also want to create gender neutral changing rooms in the Ray. As of right now, there are no gender neutral bathrooms in the Ray, which means that if you are a person who doesn't identify as male or female, there are no locker rooms for you to use. And that's pretty much the same all over campus. In the student center, for example, we have 6 bathrooms for men and women, but only 1 non-binary bathroom, and that needs to change like ASAP. A lot of students who are queer have been very frustrated for many years, and I think it's finally time that we start listening to their demands. Next, we want to hold the university accountable in terms of COVID-19, especially when it comes to prioritizing student voices. There have been a lot of mandatory events that have had over 200 or 300 people, and students have expressed concerns of attending, and they have been penalized or they have been punished for not wanting to go to these events, and we should never be putting a student's health in jeopardy. We want to increase transparency from the administration, especially as we have a new president coming in at the end of the school year. We also want to ensure that they're following and meeting student demands when it comes to social justice and any other thing that students are passionate about. We want easier access to mental health resources. Again, we are in a pandemic, and I think this needs to go way beyond UCS, both in the Loop and in Lincoln Park. There's a lot of more things that we can do for mental health, different programs that we can create, different events, and I think it's important that we start highlighting those. And lastly, we want to work to ensure that short-role workers are getting the needs that they deserve, and that we are here to fully support them in any way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
I speak fast, y'all.
Any questions? Peyton.
Hey, Lisa. So good to hear from you. I just wanted to ask, because I know you are an excellent leader in the SGA community, and I really appreciate your presence on the general body. I think you offered great solutions to problems that I couldn't even identify on campus, and it's just such a great asset to have you. And I wanted to ask how you think you're going to approach this position differently than you have approached other positions in the past that you've held on SGA, and just giving you the opportunity to talk over some of your accomplishments in the past.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question, Peyton. I think in the past, when I have been able to serve as a specific position in SGA, I've looked at it as to how we can work with administration to meet student demands. But I think that obviously the administration has failed us in the last couple of years, and now it's really time to give students the voices that they deserve to ensure that what all the work that they're doing is being highlighted. For example, we have such a good group of students who have been working to support Chartwell workers, and I think that we should be holding a university accountable to provide them with the resources that they need to be able to accomplish their initiatives and their goals. Also, I want to be previously in SGA, I feel like there's been some disconnect amongst like all of the SGA members, and I want to be able to work collaboratively with everyone. So a lot of the initiatives that I talked about, requirements that I work with, you know, the EVP of Diversity and Equity, the EVP of Academic Affairs. So it really is creating more of a collaborative space in SGA where we can all work together to meet the campus needs. And I think that if we work together, which we, I feel like we failed to do in the past, it will make it a lot easier to actually accomplish some of our initiatives and goals.
Thanks so much, Misa. I don't know anyone who wouldn't want that.
Parveen?
Hi again for like the 30th time. I just wanted to ask, is there any like specific initiative or project you worked on in SGA that you're really proud of that you want to share? I'm a freshman, so like I'm not super familiar with like the work SGA has done in the past, but yeah, just kind of like, is there something you've been really proud of that you were able to accomplish?
Last year we only had one Center for Intercultural Awareness. And we were initially talking about having 3 centers for intercultural awareness, but I asked that one of those be for a center for LGBTQ students. And again, I think that queer students have been asking for so many needs in the last couple of years, and their needs have not been met. And I think SGA should be held accountable for that. And I think that being able to push SGA members to get this position passed is something that I'm really proud of, just because I've been wanting to do this since my freshman year when I first joined SGA. And yeah, like Alex said, shout out to Riley because they're an awesome Center for LGBTQ students. So that's the thing that I'm the most proud of, is being able to actually work for queer students and having been able to meet their needs.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Misa. That is going to conclude our EVP of Operations section. I do want to make a note for the record that we do also have 2 additional candidates running for the position. Sadly, they were not able to attend, or they had to leave early due to class conflicts. And being a student organization, school always comes first. But we have Wesley Janicki and Victoria Faith Gunko. Both are additionally running. David, did you have a question?
Oh yeah, I was just wondering if it was possible to ask Misa a question.
No, we do have to move on due to time.
Sorry, we were muted for a second. You said it was okay?
No, I said we have to move on for time, sadly.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
We have to move on for time.
Okay, cool, no worries.
Next up is the treasurer position. First up is Payne Riley.
Raleigh, you got it right, Johnny. I just wanted to start off by thanking you all for staying around. I know this meeting has been going really long, and I commend all of you guys for being so invested in this election cycle, and I'm so excited to see the results next week. I'm Peyton Raleigh. I'm a senior running for treasurer, and before I go into my initiatives, I'd like to take a little bit of time to explain my qualifications for this position. I have previously served on the SGA general body as the senator for first-year students in the 2019 to 2020 school year. In high school, I served as the student body treasurer actually, and excelled in that position greatly and really loved it. And that's kind of what got me interested in this position coming into DePaul. And now as a senior, I'm excited to be running for it again. And also in addition to that, I am the director of finances for my sorority on campus, Delta Gamma. And I'm so happy to serve my community in that regard in that position, and I'd love to serve the greater DePaul community in this position. In terms of my initiatives, I'd really like to make sure that the SAFB process of hearing and applications runs smoothly and seamlessly for all community organizations at DePaul. And I'd like to do that by offering more accessible training sessions and really bringing it down to simple terms for every student organization to feel confident in that process. Knowledge is power, and I think restricting that accessibility of knowledge can hold back our DePaul community, and especially when it comes to budgeting and making sure that we all have use for our student activity fee, that goes a long way. I'd also like to formulate an actionable resolution by partnering with other senators to modernize the printing system, to optimize the way in which our money is handled by the university and able to promote sustainability campus-wide. I'd love to talk more about my initiatives that I have for this position. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I will drop my Instagram in the messages on this chat so you guys can get to know my campaign a little bit more. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? David.
Hey, sorry. We have audio issues on this side. I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on your ideas about creating accessible trainings and making hearings and processes more accessible.
Absolutely. So I think anybody that's come to an SGA meeting can attest to how confusing Robert's Rules of Order can be. Knowing the intricacies and complexities associated with that can really act as a barrier to making real actionable change on campus, both in the general body meetings and in SAFB hearings. So as the SGA treasurer, I would also act as the chair of the SAFB board, or SAF board, I guess, not to be redundant. And so by making the trainings a little bit more accessible by providing them on Zoom, maybe recording a mini kind of TikTok style tutorial on how to go through the SAFB protocols and application, and really making myself accessible as a resource in tandem with the rest of the SAFB panel, to ensure that every DePaul student feels supported throughout the process, because at the end of the day, we want to serve you, and SAFB is in its existence to serve the greater DePaul community. And in order to do that, we all need to have a fair level playing field on who has the knowledge of how to get those funds. So that's a huge goal of mine in this campaign, and I so appreciate your question. Thank you. Misa, do you have a question?
Go ahead, Misa. That's the message.
Thank you. Pam, thank you so much for talking about like how hard it is to be accessible when using Robert's Rules of Order. I think that I have expressed that many times as well in the past during SGA meetings. Do you have some ideas as to how we can make SGA meetings more accessible,
a lot of
especially for
science.
those who are SGA?
All right, I think I caught most of that. So making Robert's Rules of Order accessible to everybody that enters the SGA general body meetings, I think is a high priority, especially being a treasurer on the cabinet. I think it's really important that that is a top-down standard that's set, and making sure that everyone knows that it's okay to ask questions, it's okay to not know what the heck is going on, and to know that you always have someone in the room that can help you through that process, and not only just tell you what to do, but explain why. I love Robert's Rules of Order because it helps preserve everybody's voice, but it doesn't work unless you feel empowered enough to use it. And I think giving students widely the tools and setting that environmental community tone of understanding, compassion, and empowerment is the fundamental change that comes from it. Again, knowledge is power, and I think that every DePaul student deserves to have their voice heard in general bodies, and Robert's Rules of Order should not hold them back from using that voice. Thank you for your question, Lisa. I really appreciate that. And I know you care about it really passionately, so I'm glad we got to touch on it tonight.
Thank you, Peyton. That will conclude the the treasurer position. As a note for the record, we do additionally have one candidate, Aiden Kelly Morrissey, who was unable to attend tonight, but I would like to have them be recognized in our event. And then finally, our final candidate is going to be Olivia Petrowski, who is a writing candidate who has already submitted their materials for the ballot.
Thank you, Johnny. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm really grateful to have heard all of your great speeches. I'm a senior here at DePaul University. I am studying political science and philosophy. I am in multiple clubs. I am in DePaul Polish Student Alliance. I'm a first generational student. I'm also in DePaul Activities Board, and I am hoping to start a Libertarian Club on campus once I come back home. I am currently not in Chicago. I am a writing candidate. I have had some personal experiences here which have put my privileges in check and led me to possibly file a civil lawsuit against the police department here in Boca Raton for excessive police brutality and profiling related to mental health issue. More on that in the Q&A if you'd like to ask. I will be back in Chicago soon in the next upcoming days, and if elected, some of my initiatives include creating an environment of innovation and creativity for all students in the college through hosting events that can express students' artistic gifts for creating writing, poetry, and drawing, because I know that the life of a student can be difficult, and some students don't have the capabilities, or they've chosen a major that won't let them unleash some of their beautiful talents and gifts. So I want to host a place and an environment for students to be able to be able to bring them together and create an artistic space that will not only help reduce stress, but will create something for them to share with others. And I also hope to bring more awareness to the criminal justice system from my own personal experiences by hosting events and creating a safe space for students to voice their concerns and experience in the community that they've had with either Chicago Police Department or for other parts of the world. And I will be in touch with other organizations to hear all voices and address concerns and to improve the student environment. And I will also rope in administration and faculty if need be. I am very dedicated to this issue because of my personal experience that I've had with this. So when I do come back home, I will do everything in my capability to hear the voices of students that want to be heard and also bring a creative and innovative environment in the liberal arts and social science school, since I'm running for the Senator of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. So I thank you all for your time tonight, and please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. And I have disclaimer, I have not had a position in SGA before, but I am highly politically motivated, and I have very strong political views. I'm a libertarian anarchist. I am very for police reform and prison reform, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the Q&A session. Jacob, go ahead.
You mentioned that you had more to say in the Q&A session about that experience that gave you these certain views.
Yes, so I was diagnosed bipolar 2 several months ago, and I came down to Florida to visit my aunt for vacation, and I had the Delta variant. I tested positive in the hospital, so I actually was experiencing hallucinations, and the police profiled me as a drug addict. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any drugs, but they actually came into my aunt's home without a warrant, and they went through my belongings. And so I'm hoping to possibly file a civil lawsuit against the police because they also use excessive force and they pushed me to the ground, and I wasn't aware of what was going on because I was hallucinating. So this is a mental health issue that I want to raise awareness to also, that the police don't know how to, they have a underlying bias towards people. And I think not only racially, but also for mental health issues. So that's something that I want to bring to campus and I want to talk about. And I want to explore the possibility of raising awareness so that other people with similar experiences can talk and share, and so that there can be something done for this type of problem within the system.
Thank you.
Parveen?
Oh, yeah. Hi. I just want to pop in and say I really appreciate you like sharing your personal experiences on that. I know like SGA has been involved with trying to end the tuition discount with the Fraternal Order of Police, which is also what one of my values on my platform is. So I was kind of wondering, like in general, seeing as you know, it is part of SGA to kind of want to work to end that tuition discount, or else you could see us getting involved in terms of police brutality and, you know, just kind of tying in that personal experience you've had and where you see that applying in SGA.
Yes, of course. So I definitely would be against the tuition involvement. I don't think that CBD should have any right or connection to the private institution of DePaul. I think that ties should be cut because of my own personal experience. I don't think that a place where brutality and violence take place should have any affiliation with DePaul at all. So I would do everything in my power to be able to help cut those ties and spread awareness and get more students involved to understand the actual nature and violent protocols that CBD exhibits on a daily basis.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for your question. I just want to add that I will drop my social media accounts, and I am not on the ballot since I am a write-in candidate because I wasn't able to get 25 signatures since I am away from home and all this going on. But I will be back in a week or so, so I should be able to be there for elections. That's my hope, at least. So thank you, guys.
Thank you for sharing and thank you for coming out tonight. And with that, that will be the final speaker of the night. I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting and asking great questions to all of our candidates. Thank you for sharing and answering those questions, which is half of the battle. Most importantly, I just want to give everybody a quick reminder that the SGA elections open on Monday. So make sure to vote, make sure to get your friends to vote. Yeah, and then for candidates, if you have not already sent me any election materials, please send those to me. And then, yeah, I think that's about it. Everybody have a great night.
Thanks so much, Johnny. You did great.
Thank you.
Johnny,
Thank you.
great night, everybody.
Thank you.